Joining me now is Kim Rudd, the former MP for Northumberland-Peterborough South, who was defeated in 2019 by Philip Lawrence. There was lots of speculation, Kim, with this being a minority government and a possibility of a quick turnaround election, that many assume that you would just be the fall back into that Liberal nomination one more time, but you've decided to step away. Talk about the reasoning behind why you stepped away.
Sure. Thanks, Mark. And thanks for asking me. I'm looking out my window right now. It's a gorgeous sunny day. So the summer is on its way. I had intended to run. It was my intention to run. As you know, I've announced that I was diagnosed with cancer last year. And as you can see, I feel great. And I may, in the new year, late, so around February, March-ish, there was a decision that I was going to, I'm in what they call maintenance. The type of cancer I have, it's just, you know, you make decisions. And so there was an option for me to be involved in a trial, a clinical trial. And I'm a big fan of research when it comes to any kind of medical. And if I can help and contribute in any way, I want to do that. And it obviously helps me as well, or has potential to help me. So I made the decision to not run. And in some ways it was easy because, you know, I have an amazing family, community, life. I'm so busy. And so it's not like I lack for things to do. And, but it was hard because I truly loved what I did. And I really felt like I contributed in a way that really made a difference here. And what I know is Alison Lester will continue to do that. As you know, she's lived here her whole life pretty well. And so another woman that's running in the sphere of politics, which I'm thrilled about.
By your reaction, Kim, it seems like it was a very emotional decision that you had to make.
It was emotional, again, because I truly loved what I did. And as you know, Mark, we've lived here for over 40 years, and I've taken on a whole number of projects and things over that time with organizations and communities. And I'm still helping a lot of the folks that, you know, organizations and even, you know, some municipalities that have some questions about how to maybe, you know, access what grants might be available, those kinds of things. And I enjoy doing that. So I'll continue to do that anyways, but it was emotional for a bit. And then it was kind of like, you've made the decision, Kim, now it's okay, moving on. And the fact that because I was filling out my nomination papers and I was running, and then all of a sudden I wasn't. And to your point about a minority government, what does that mean? And Alison had approached me a couple of years ago and said, Kim, when you decide not to run, let me know. It's something I've been thinking about. And that was 2.5 years ago. And so we talked again in the new year. And I said, I'm going to run, but you know, I don't know how many more times. So hold that thought. And so I was putting in my nomination papers because it was open. And then this opportunity came along for additional program. And I called Alison and I said, are you serious? Because I'm kind of leaving everybody in a bit of a lurch. And if you want to run, get your papers in because they're going to close it soon. And that was that. And there we have it.
Here we are. So how are you doing now physically, Kim?
Great. I feel great. I'm very sad the golf courses aren't open because today would be the day. You know, it is not, cancer is a horrible diagnosis. It doesn't matter what kind or who has it. Everybody knows someone who's either had it in their family, a friend, or they themselves. So I'm no different than any of them. Where I have great fortune is that I have gone through significant chemotherapy and surgery, and I've really had no effects, no side effects. I'm going to put a lot of that down to, some of it down to modern medicine, and a lot of it down to my determination and resiliency, and the support of my husband and my kids and my neighbors and friends who have all just, you know, I am so lucky. And not everyone has that. Certainly sitting, waiting to go into the treatment. I met my last treatment day, last August, I guess it was. And a young girl was there. Remember, it was COVID. So you couldn't have any support if you met with your doctor or going through taking a treatment for the first time. And there was a young girl there, wasn't 25, and she was really emotional. And it was my last day, and I reached out to her and I said, they'll take such good care of you. Don't worry. I'm here for the next 8 hours, happy to chat, whatever. She was from Roseneath, and she had no one there with her and had no idea what this was going to be. So I consider myself very fortunate to be, she had her mom waiting out in the car, so she had family, but nobody could be with her. So I feel very fortunate. And yeah, I'm going to be working on the campaign. Nobody's getting rid of me.
Talk about that support that you had when you ran in 2011, 15, and 19, and how important it is to have that support behind you to run.
Well, you can't do it unless you have your family, and you can't do it unless you're willing to put the work in. I shouldn't say that. In my opinion, you can't do it right. And again, part of the reason I decided not to run, I feel if you can't put your whole self there, then you probably shouldn't be there. The 2011 was obviously a tough election, another minority government. It was my first foray, officially into being a candidate. It was, people still remember my daughter Stephanie and my husband Tom staying in the parking lot of the Grafton Arena, calling our friends, and people had signed up and saying, my mom needs you. You promised you come and vote for nomination, and so it really was a family effort. Tom was the best campaigner, best door knocker. He'd go out 8 hours a day in every campaign. And, even though my kids weren't necessarily out there with me, they weren't living here at the time, they come here on the weekends and cook meals for us, so we'd be all set. And so the support is key. And like 2011 was a rough election, and it did not feel good. But I was determined to do it again. And there wasn't any question that I had that support, even though it was very painful to go for it again. So yeah, it's that's why I sold my business and did a number of other things, because I was putting everything into this one, come hell or high water.
What do you take out from politics for the brief time that you're in them? Being on the Hill in Ottawa, meeting with fellow MPs from all parties from all across the country. And let's face it, once you're there, yes, there are the party lines, but everybody there is there for the good of their community and good of this country.
Yeah, I think, I would say for the most part, I won't say 100%, but I'd say for the most part, every MP that is elected and gets to Ottawa is there to do the very best for their constituents that they can. And there's always going to be some that will be the outlier. It's like anything else, right? Any other profession, any other environment. Our riding is so diverse and large. I mean, I loved my weekends when I was home. They tried to keep me off the schedule Sunday afternoons if they could, so I could spend some time at home before, because I got on the train every Sunday at 4:50. And but I loved being out in the riding. And Google has the Google photo. This is what you did a year ago. This is what you did 2 years. Every day something pops up. I think it was something in Brighton I was at yesterday or this time. So that's kind of fun to reminisce about all of those things. And I always felt I was a very strong voice for the riding. And one of the best examples I can give you was, well, of course, being the parliamentary secretary and having the nuclear file. That's pretty important for this riding. And as you may know, I'm a consultant for the Canadian Nuclear Association. So as I say, I'm not going anywhere. But one of the best examples was when Bill Morneau put in the small business tax. He changed it. And as things happen in bureaucracies and large organizations, sometimes things get done and somebody thinks it's a good idea and everybody kind of just says, oh yeah, sounds like a good idea. Had they asked some of us who were small business owners, they would have found out it was not a good idea. And as soon as we saw it, I was one of the first. I called Bill Morneau at the time on his cell phone, and he still came down during the 2019 election for me. So I was still his friend. And I said, Bill, this is not what needs to happen. This is not good. This is, I can help. And there were a bunch of us. And so we went to Bill and we laid it out for him. And as you may know, it was reversed and it was changed. And when Bill made the next announcement about the change, he invited me to the announcement at a farmer, just outside the riding. So those are things that I knew my small businesses in this riding were going to be impacted by that in a way that wasn't good. And so I advocate, which is what I have done all my life, to find a way to make it change, even though people said, well, it's already done. Well, things can be changed. So yeah, Ottawa, the life in Ottawa is not something I enjoyed. It's different, and it is, the hours didn't bother me. I mean, the chicken farmers had their eggs breakfast at 7 a.m. and the house was staying till 10 because we were doing something. That wasn't it. It was for me, I don't even know how to explain it. When the cameras are on, some people feel they have an obligation to be so much hyperbole and so hyper partisan. And then when the cameras are off, they'll tell me I have a nice dress on, and I don't know. To me, it's just not who I am. I'll tell you have a nice dress on, and I will be pointed, but I'll be nice to you when I talk to you too, even if the camera's on.
It's funny because I remember former MP Rick Norlock relating the story of, I just lost his name, former finance minister married to
Flaherty?
Yes, Jim Flaherty. Rick used to tell the story of Jim Flaherty where everybody loved Jim. He used to go to the other side of the house when they weren't on TV, talk to everybody. Everybody loved Jim. And then he used to jokingly say, well, it's camera time, so I better go over to the other side of the house and make it look like I don't like you people.
I know. And is that not crazy? It is crazy. Yeah, some of the old guard, if you will, of sort of senators and people who have retired, like I'm talking MPs, particularly in their 70s and 80s, senators retired, and have said to me, we got so much done. If you think about the work that we got done, and we do our thing house from all the parties to get together and sit down and have a beer and say, okay, but can we move on this? That doesn't happen anymore. And I will tell you, I think part of it is a culture that was created when Stephen Harper was there, because it was certainly a much more collegial culture when Brian Mulroney was there. And so, I hope we can get it back, because I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah, I think talking with other people about this and about that exact same topic, it's almost like we're on that slippery slope heading towards the American style politics right now.
I agree with you, and it's very worrisome to me. And I was having a conversation with someone who's a journalist just very recently, and we were saying, it's something we really noticed in the 2019 election versus the 2015 election, is that absence of balanced, the ability for a reporter to actually take two sides of something and put them out for people to make their own decision about. Now we have Twitter and Facebook and fake news and hyperbole, to the point where I look at it with COVID. I think some of the comments and that people have said, the anti-vaxxers, you see what's happening in the US right now. They're going to have trouble making herd immunity because there's so many people who don't want it. And I think when people question the veracity of things for a political gain that puts a seed of doubt in someone's mind, I think that's irresponsible. And it happens, and I don't know how we fix it. Someone said turn the cameras off. So
that may be the answer for sure. Yeah. Obviously, the Prime Minister right now is is getting hit from all different sides of not doing things right, not doing things, or doing things wrong. Talk about stories that you had with the Prime Minister, because I know before Justin Trudeau held that position, you met with him and worked with him a few times before that as well.
Yeah, I was his Eastern Ontario chair for the campaign. for him to become leader. So, and he had been here a couple of times before that. So I've only known him for 15 years or so. One of the things about the Prime Minister, there are two things. One, maybe one of the he truly cares. He truly cares. And, you know, I see what happened yesterday when Sophie offered to do complimentary yoga by Zoom to staffers who were stressed out. And Don Martin, who, you know, I was on his panel more than once, and he said, oh, you know, people are rolling their eyes at that. Well, isn't that what we should do as human beings? That we should offer what we can to help your life better. And hers is, she's a certified yoga instructor, and taking away stress is not a bad thing. So he does care. And because he does care, it sometimes opens his flank, if you will, in that if, you know, if it's one thing Stephen Harper did really well. He kept his message straight. He never went off it. And it was, none of anything else mattered. It was that. Whereas with the Prime Minister, it does matter. And he will always try and find a way to do what's right. Sometimes what's right has a more difficult path than you first anticipate. And so it's something that he has, he wears with pride, I'm sure, because you learn as you go along, right? Nothing is ever perfect. But my experience with him before and during an MP and since is that I can tell him what I think. And there have been things that we have disagreed about, but not in a, I guess I'm not always going to win the argument. But if I contributed my piece, if you will, and made someone think about it a different way, the outcome may still be the same, but I have provided some input, and he has always been open to that input. And on occasion, I've seen my stamp on a couple of things very quietly. So, and not just me, other MPs. We talk and we'll say, okay, we think if maybe we should approach it this way, and we all go talk to him and say, how about this?
And he may agree with you or he may not, but I'm certainly sure he likes that more than just the yes people in the corner who agrees with everything he says and thinks everything is all perfect and there's no issues with anything that he's done or proposing.
The one thing he does do well, he does a number of things in my opinion well, but one of the things he does well is he questions. And so if I have an idea or I have a proposal or what have you, he'll want me to justify it. He'll want me to provide. It's not just, I guess there's two sides to that. There's no lip service, because if you're coming to me with something, I want you to defend it. Tell me why. And I think that's important, because otherwise you feel like you're just going in and saying your piece, and, you know, and he was always accessible. If you wanted a meeting with them, you got 15 minutes, sometimes 10, depending on the schedule. But if you can't say what you need to say in 10 or 15 minutes, you're probably in the wrong place anyways.
I'll get you out on this question, Kim.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the end of Kim Rudd in politics, or might we
see
her running maybe at a different level, municipally, maybe in the future, or not, or being part of a council or MPP? Is that the end of that part for Kim?
I can tell you that I will not run for political office. I will not run for provincial office, and I will not run for federal office again. I have, there's a school of thought that when you have to go on a high note, and I think my notes were very high. I may be somewhat biased, but am I leaving politics? Absolutely not. I'm going to be working hard on Alison Lester's campaign, and I'm working with the party in mentoring a number of women who are candidates or want to be candidates. I am continuing my work as a mentor with small businesses and women. I'm working with a number of organizations in the community to help them sort of figure out paths in this crazy time of COVID and other things. And I am always open to, I mean, I sit on an advisory board for Empire Aerospace. And somebody asked me, well, that's kind of out of your bailiwick, like, you know. And I said, well, I was asked to join. Tony Clement is the chair, former Conservative minister. And Tony runs a great board. And I was asked to sit on it because apparently I have a reputation for strategic thinking and finding solutions to challenges. And the aerospace industry has some challenges right now. And so I was asked about a year and a bit ago if I would sit, and a couple of things that I've been able to give them some advice at have provided them some opportunities. Will they go to where they want them to? I don't know, but I'm happy I could help. So yeah, I'll just be doing things in a different way. And I've met so many amazing people. As you know, I put this out on Twitter, and there was a young woman who met me at the Women in Nuclear Conference in Bariloche, Argentina, and said, Kim, I remember, apparently I said something, it stuck with her, and that I was a role model for so many women. And that makes me feel good. I mean, that's what I want to be. I have 2 daughters. I have 2 granddaughters. I have 2 grandsons too, who are very important, but you know, and so yeah, so I'm not done yet. I'm just doing it in a different way.
Kim, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. Thanks very much for representing the riding in the time that you did, and I'm sure we'll cross paths in the future. So thanks very much.
Thank you. I'm sure we will. You take care.